How do Muslim imams feel about fighting the jihad? Will they talk about it in their mosques this weekend? Tonight, in a Factor exclusive, we'll find out.
Would you say that Barack Obama, as commander-in-chief, has had a positive impact on the morale of the men and women of the United States Armed Forces?
According to the Military Times newspaper, President Obama's popularity among military people cratering. We'll have the facts tonight.
Good. You and I have this thing going, man. That's great.
Don't make any sudden moves.
Joe, new Joe. Do you speak English?
Yeah. Also ahead of Special Waters World, the Outtake Edition.
One more time.
Might be dangerous. Caution. You are about to enter the no-spin zone. Factor begins right now. Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. More proof the American media is corrupt. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. This man, 56-year-old David Corn, who works for the far-left magazine Mother Jones, smeared me, your humble correspondent, yesterday, saying I fabricated some war reporting. Mother Jones, which is low circulation, considered by many the bottom rung of journalism in America. However, in this internet age, the defamation they put forth gets exposure. And so I have to deal with this garbage tonight. I'm sorry. Basically, David Corn, a liar, says I exaggerated situations in the Falklands War and the Salvadoran War. Here's the truth. Everything I've said about my reportorial career, everything, is true. 33 years ago in June, Argentina surrendered to Great Britain, ending the Falklands War. I was covering the conflict from Argentina and Uruguay for CBS News. After learning of the surrender, angry mobs in Buenos Aires stormed the presidential palace at Casa Rosada, trying to overthrow the government of General Leopoldo Galtieri. I was there in the street with my camera crews. The violence was horrific, as Argentine soldiers fired into the crowd, who were responding with violent acts of their own. My video of the combat led the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather that evening. Later on, I filed a report that ran nationwide. That's what happened. I never said I was on the Falkland Islands, as Corn purports. I said I covered the Falklands War, which I did. Now, in what I consider to be a miracle, I found this CBS internal memo from 33 years ago praising my coverage that day. Cable was sent to the CBS bureau chief in Buenos Aires by the news desk here in New York City. Quote, Doyle, O'Reilly didn't have the time last night, but would like to say many thanks for the riot piece last night. WCBS-TV and WCAU-TV both took the entire piece instead of stripping it for pics. They called to say thanks for a fine piece. Thanks again. Your piece made the late feed a winner last night, unquote. Want more? Here it is. Shortly after my crew and I escaped grave danger on the streets of Buenos Aires, I wrote to CBS News boss Ed Joyce, praising the crew's bravery. I have the letter. Quote, the crews were great. The riot had been very bad. We were gassed, shot at, and I had the best vantage point in which to report the story. So we have rock-solid proof that David Corn smeared me, and some websites that picked up his defamation did as well. Now, I had to spend hours last night on the phone with various reporters and crawling around my basement covered with dust trying to find documents from 33 years ago. Again, it was a miracle I found them. All because an irresponsible gutter snipe, a far-left zealot, who has attacked Fox News many times before, spit the stuff out on the net. And you know what? Nothing's going to happen to David Corn. Well, the Jones and the far-left websites couldn't care less about the truth. They're in the business to injure. This is a political hit job. At this point, TV coverage has been scant, but CNN tried to exploit the situation because a guy over there named Brian Stelter is another far-left zealot, masquerading as a journalist. CNN can do a lot better than this guy. Real journalists knew the story was BS from the jump. They knew Corn was trying to take the Brian Williams situation and wrap it around my neck for ideological reasons, because he has a history of attacking Fox News. In addition, Corn actually wrote that I hammered Brian Williams. when everybody knows I went out of my way on Kimmel and The Factor to be compassionate to the man. Corn must think the folks are as dumb as he is. The whole scandal reminds me of another guy who completely got away with it. That man is Al Franken, who years ago accused me of faking my working class upbringing. He actually said in public many times I was not raised in Levittown. He ran around telling that to the media, who gleefully printed his words. The despicable Franken, perhaps the biggest liar I have ever known, wouldn't even retract when I produced this. The deed to my parents' house says Levittown. Al, but you, a dishonest smear merchant, wouldn't retract your false story. And I'm sure Corn won't either. And what happened to Al Franken? He's elected a senator from Minnesota. And that's the memo. Now for the top story tonight, reaction with us here in New York City, Geraldo Rivera, and from Miami, Bernie Goldberg. So, you were working at CBS when I was down there covering the Falklands War. What say you, Bernie?
Well, yes, I was at CBS. I was in New York covering domestic news around the country for the Dan Rather Evening News while you were in Argentina. So I am not going to get into anything that Mother Jones said about you. You've dealt with that, and if you want to deal with it any further, that's up to you. The serious question for me is this. Is Mother Jones using journalism as a weapon, a political weapon, to go after an enemy? You know, you. And they could have run this story years ago. They could have run their charges or allegations years ago, but they chose to run it after the Brian Williams episode, right? And that makes you wonder, is this about, well, if one of ours goes down, a liberal journalist, Brian Williams, then one of theirs, Bill O'Reilly of Fox News, is going to go down. And for a liberal journalist, at least for a far-left journalist, going up to Bill O'Reilly is like opening presents under the tree on Christmas morning. One more point, and this is important. The Brian Williams story broke because soldiers went to the military newspaper, Stars and Stripes. This story broke because a far-left journalist working for a far-left magazine made the charges. I'm going to be overly generous and simply say, it makes you wonder if this was about journalism or about politics.
How do you see it, Geraldo?
I have no doubt. The purge of Brian Williams by NBC led directly to this. This was the yin to the yang. This was the action-reaction. They got him, therefore we had to get you. It was an absolute counterpoint to the Brian Williams scandal. I lament it. I saw it coming. That's why I absolutely criticize the extent to which people were obsessing over Brian Williams and the lie. He told the lie. Let him correct the lie. Let him apologize for the lie. But he was destroyed. Now they're coming after you to try exactly the same thing. It is so scary to me, Bill, because what's next? Is it Senator Joe McCarthy going to be resurrected now? Yep. And he's going to hold in his hand, I have a copy of every communist in the TV news industry, and I will reveal them at a date in the future. But this is absolutely scary and preposterous.
It is. It's very frightening. But here, Bernie, it's not about me. I'm lucky. I believe in God because God produced that memo for me last. The odds of me finding that thing had to be 10,000 to 1. All right? And I have a television show. I can fight back. I can discuss it with you guys. Most people don't have any way to fight back. They get smeared on the net. As Geraldo pointed out, could be any politician, could be any public servant, anybody, anywhere. And these people picked it up. There wasn't not one internet site that reran this reportage or this accusation from Mother Jones that identified the political component that Geraldo just spotlighted. Not one.
Whatever else the web is, and it's many, many good things, whatever else the internet is, it's a platform for, not in this case anonymous, but in other cases, for anonymous defamation. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's a platform of destruction. You can destroy a person's family, a person's livelihood, and nobody's going to help you.
Bill, listen. I said something about Jon Stewart once that his many fans didn't like, and somebody wrote, I am not making this up, somebody wrote, did you know that it was either 89 or 99, I'm not sure which. Did you know that in 1989, Bernie Goldberg killed a woman and kidnapped a baby? I'm telling you, they said. And then I did some research, and they said the exact same thing about Glenn Beck. So I rested easy, figuring that's what they say about people they don't like.
And the reason that I'm taking the viewers' time tonight is to reinforce that this is out of control. I'm going to give you the last word. You've been in a lot of war zones, okay? You know the shorthand of it. You know, you cover Grenada. You can't go down the island of Grenada. Nobody was allowed. But you cover the war. You cover Grenada. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that people who have been there, like you and me, we do routinely. But now, anything that Geraldo Rivera says, Bernie Goldberg says, as you just pointed out, or Bill O'Reilly says, it could be 35 years ago. It's going to be taken and tried to injure us with it.
One of the most irksome things about this entire phenomenon is that the vast majority of these accusers have never put themselves at risk at all in their professional careers. They sit in the safety of their mother's basements with their bitten fingernails on the computer, attacking people they don't agree with ideologically, philosophically, whatever it is, demographically, whatever it is absolutely the peril of the web. This is the future. I am glad that the news has been universalized and democratized, and you can get it from everywhere. But for goodness sakes, there's no checks and balance anymore. There are editors now that can hold people accountable. This is absolutely the peril of the future.
And we're going to hold Geraldo over because he's being attacked for saying hip-hop is hurting black people. And it's almost the same thing. Not quite, but almost. Hey, Bernie, thanks a lot. We appreciate it. Okay. Next on the rundown, will American imams confront the jihad in a public way? We'll find out. Later, Gutfeld McGurk on who they want to send to Mars. Also, Water's World, the outtake edition. Very frightening. Up ahead.